Plastic bottles. We have bottles that are painted with cool colors. They're green with a little blue and purple. And we have bottles that are painted with warm colors. They're red with yellow or orange highlights on them. So today we're going to get them ready to attach to our sculpture. Each person has been given a cool bottle and a warm bottle, and a cool half of a pipe cleaner and a warm half of a pipe cleaner. So let's start by attaching these to the bottles. We're looking at this area right here, the neck of the bottle, and that little ridged area right there is where we want to get the pipe cleaner wrapped. So take it like this. Let's go about halfway, and then give it about 2 twists, and make sure as you twist you're pinching that tightly so that it gets wrapped really tight. You don't want to be able to pull it off of the neck of the bottle. It should be on there super tight. And you should have a couple of pieces sticking off about 1.5 inches long so that when you attach this to the sculpture, you can wrap that around a wire. Pretend my scissors are a wire, and then twist again to get it to attach. So that's how we're going to attach these to the sculpture, using that extra wire right here in the pipe cleaner. Awesome, so that one's ready. Let's try the same thing with the warm bottle. We're looking for this area right here underneath that plastic ridge. That's the neck of the bottle. Take it about halfway, fold it over, and grab it really tight and give it about 2 twists. And you should not be able to pull that off of the bottle once you get it on there. And you want about 1.5 inches sticking off so that we can attach that to the sculpture. Now, these are going to be cut in 2 different ways. Our green bottle is going to be cut in a spiral design. So we're going to start at an angle, at an acute angle, and go around and around the bottle, cutting the green one. So let's do that now. Please watch. I'm going to start going in at an angle. I want very smooth cuts. I don't want to leave ragged edges. And when I come back around to the place where I started cutting, I want to be about 2 fingers wide. So I can hold up 2 fingers like this and see that from my original cut I'm about 2 fingers wide. And I want to try to keep that 2 finger width all the way up. Notice I'm just using my left hand to twist the bottle, and my right hand is cutting in a straight line. When I come back around, I can measure again, 2 fingers, and make sure I'm keeping a consistent width. That's pretty important as you go up. You want to keep that width consistent. And we want to cut it all the way up to here where the design on the bottle changes, and it goes from being so ridged to being a little bit smoother. You might see a little paint fall off as you cut, and that's perfectly normal. Again, I can measure again and make sure that I've got about a 2 finger width right there, really consistent as I go up. You don't want to get it too thin or it hangs down too far. And if you get your cuts too thick, then it doesn't hang down at all. And we want this to hang down like a vine or a leaf design on our work. Alright, so that gets us to the end. Again, I want to stop about 2 fingers from the neck of the bottle. And as you can see, it stretches out kind of like a slinky or like a spring. That spiral coil stretches out and it hangs down, and that's how we're going to mount it on our sculpture, is hanging down like that. So that's one cut. That's our spiral cut. Now, for the warm bottle, we want this to look like a flower. So our cuts are going to be vertical, straight up the bottle, starting at the big opening in the bottom, going straight up. And again, we want to keep them about 2 fingers apart as you make those cuts. We're going to cut all the way up to here where the design on the bottle changes, and then we're going to fold those pieces back to look like the petals of a flower. So I'm going to start using one of these straight lines right here on the bottle and cut all the way up to where the design changes and it goes from being ridged to smooth. And I can measure with 2 fingers over and do my next cut. You're probably going to get about 6 cuts if you space them out 2 fingers apart. I'm going to measure again with 2 fingers. That brings me to another ridge line, so I'm going to use that ridge line to help me get a straight cut. Measure with 2 fingers again. And again, that is an estimate. I'm not doing exact measurements. I'm using my 2 fingers to help me estimate. And look, it brings me back to one of those ridges again. So I'm getting a repeating pattern of cuts. I know my measurements, my estimates are pretty close. And then one more, and so that I've got that one wide piece, I want to go right in the middle of it so that my flower petals look pretty even. Awesome. Of course, when you're not cutting, make sure your scissors are closed and flat on the table. Now we want to fold these back. So using that hard line right there, I want to create a crease and fold those back. You might find some wet paint on the inside of the warm bottle since we just painted these last week. When I fold each one back on that crease, I bend it so it stays back to some degree. They're going to flop a little bit, but that's going to help it spread out in a flower design. So that's our goal with the cool bottle. We want to have a spiral cut. With the warm bottle, we want to have a vertical cut so that we get a flower appearance. And now it's time to attach these to our sculpture.